Welcome to the Stargazers channel, everyone.
Great to be here.
And welcome back to another deep dive of ours into best jobs for each zodiac sign. Now, for this particular astrological exploration, we're focusing today on the Chinese zodiac, specifically those born under the sign of the tiger. So we're going to explore the best career paths for tigers, maybe offer some astrological tips to enhance their professional good fortune.
Yeah, definitely. And we'll touch on potential working partners, maybe even mention a famous tiger later on.
Okay, sounds good. So let's start unpacking the tiger. According to our reading, what are those core traits that really define them, and how do those connect to careers?
Well, the first thing that really jumps out is this powerful, adventurous spirit.
Adventurous. Okay.
Yeah, it's more than just liking travel. It's like a core need. Our reading suggests tigers find real satisfaction in jobs that offer excitement, challenge, maybe even a bit of, well, exploring the unknown.
Right. So something dynamic, not static.
Exactly. Predictability isn't really their thing. You can imagine someone like that feeling pretty stifled in a job where every day is, exactly the same.
Makes total sense.
Yeah.
What else stands out?
They seem to thrive on challenges. They're not put off by difficulty. Actually, competitive environments seem to energize them.
So they like to test themselves.
Seems so.
Yep.
And they tend to be quick on their feet, good judgment, especially when things are changing fast.
Okay.
But the flip side, as we sort of touched on, is that very static, routine desk job. Probably not the best fit, unless there's maybe a lot of problem solving involved.
Right. Needs that element of change or challenge.
Yeah.
Now, the reading also mentions ambition. How does that factor in?
Oh, definitely ambitious. They're driven. They want to achieve things. But there's a really interesting caution in the reading. Yeah, it warns against two tigers working too closely together. It uses the phrase, two tigers can't live on one mountain.
Wow. Okay. That's quite an image.
Isn't it? It suggests that while they're individually ambitious, putting two of them in direct competition, maybe aiming for the same leadership spot, could lead to, well, friction.
Yeah, I can picture that. So maybe they're best leading their own charge or in teams with more complementary skills rather than competing ones.
That seems to be the implication, yeah. It's about managing that powerful energy.
What about when things go wrong? Setbacks, how do they handle those?
The reading paints them as pretty resilient, actually. Capable, and maybe even a little bit lucky sometimes.
Lucky. Interesting.
Yeah, like they have this knack for bouncing back, recovering from crises when others might struggle more.
That's a massive advantage in any career, isn't it? That resilience.
Absolutely.
So putting it all together, adventurous meets challenge, ambitious but maybe needs space, resilient. What specific jobs does our reading suggest might be a good match?
Okay, so the list includes things like economist, politician, adventurer. That one seems obvious now.
Right.
And also management officer roles, specifically mentioning catering, culture, and public service.
That's a pretty varied list. Economist, politician, manager. Let's maybe focus on a couple. Politics is specifically mentioned. Why politics for a tiger?
Well, this part's fascinating. The reading describes them as quite skilled at, and I quote, mind games and language games.
Okay, like strategy and persuasion.
Exactly. It suggests that maybe the collaborative give and take of, say, some business environments or the subjective nature of art might not be their strongest suit, but the strategic thinking, the persuasive communication needed in politics, that could be a real strength.
So it plays to their strengths in maneuvering, influencing.
Seems so. And the reading also hints that the long, often bumpy road of a political career, the competition, that might actually appeal to their inherent love of a challenge.
They see the struggle as part of the game.
Perhaps. Plus, that desire for influence, maybe even control, that often comes with political roles seems to align with that ambitious streak we talked about.
Control and challenge. Yeah, key motivators.
Yep.
Okay, another area mentioned was jobs related to the police, procuratorate, and court system.
Yeah.
What's the link there?
This seems to stem from a strong sense of justice. The reading indicates tigers have this powerful drive to fight against things they see as illegal or unfair.
A real sense of right and wrong.
Yeah. And when you combine that with what the reading says are good organizational skills, it suggests they could do well in these systems, maybe rise to positions of authority and build a solid reputation.
Justice-driven and organized. Makes sense for those fields. Okay, but work usually involves other people. Teamwork. What does the reading say about the best working partners for a tiger?
Right. Compatibility. This is where it gets astrologically specific. The reading highlights the horse, the dog, and the pig as the best partners.
Horse, dog, pig.
Yeah, working with any of those signs is seen as likely leading to congruence, harmony, a high chance of success together.
Congruence.
Yeah.
That sounds ideal for a working relationship. Smooth sailing.
Pretty much. Are there others that could work, maybe under certain conditions?
Yes, the rabbit and the dragon are mentioned. But there's a big if.
An if. Yeah, this partnership tiger with rabbit and dragon is apparently only really effective when all three work together.
Oh, as a trio.
Exactly. The idea is they kind of supplement and depend on each other, create a balance. Just tiger and rabbit, or tiger and dragon, might not be so positive, according to this reading.
Interesting. So it's a specific three-way dynamic that works there. What about relationships that are okay, but maybe not top tier?
The reading calls the rat and pig and the snake and horse pairings not bad, but again, with conditions.
More conditions.
Seems to be a theme. These combos are suggested to work best again in a group of three, drawing on the 5 elements theory from Chinese astrology for mutual support. Though it does note the influence of the snake and horse combination is maybe less significant than the pig and rat one.
So, understanding these team dynamics could be really key for a tiger wanting to succeed. What about advice for tigers aiming for promotion, climbing that ladder?
Yeah, the reading offers some advice there. It touches on a potential downside of that tiger assertiveness. Sometimes they can come across as a bit pushy.
Okay. Their drive could rub people the wrong way.
Potentially. While it's a strength, it can create unnecessary friction or competition. So the advice is basically to be mindful of their communication style. Maybe make some targeted adjustments to words, behavior, just to smooth relationships with colleagues.
Self-awareness, basically. Good advice for anyone, really.
True. What else? It notes tigers really value authority and their reputation, which is fine, but it can sometimes tip over into overconfidence, becoming a bit arrogant, maybe.
Right, losing perspective.
So the reading advises actively reaching out to colleagues, asking for input, not getting too caught up in their own achievements and avoiding extreme conceit.
Stay grounded, connect with the team.
Exactly. And one last piece of advice. When they do hit setbacks, which happens to everyone,
Yeah.
the suggestion is to communicate about it calmly. Talk through feelings or concerns rather than just bottling up negativity or lashing out.
Healthy communication.
Yeah.
All sounds like solid career advice, tailored to those tiger tendencies. Now, to bring this to life a bit, does our reading mention any famous people born under the tiger sign?
It does, actually. A very well-known modern example, Jimmy Donaldson.
You mean Mr. Beast?
That's the one. Born May 7, 1998, which makes him a tiger in the Chinese Zodiac.
Wow, okay, Mr. Beast. He's huge. For anyone listening who might not know, what's his main thing?
Well, he's a massive YouTube star, but also an entrepreneur, a philanthropist. He's famous for these really elaborate, often incredibly generous stunts, challenges, big giveaways.
Where the scale is just immense.
Totally.
Yeah.
And it's made him the most subscribed individual creator on YouTube.
That's incredible. Do you see parallels between his career and the tiger traits we've been discussing?
Well, it's definitely interesting to think about, isn't it? His whole career is built on highly ambitious projects.
Definitely ambitious.
A willingness to take huge risks, both with content and his businesses, like Feastables or Mr. Beast Burger.
Yeah, those ventures too.
And there's that constant drive to innovate, to do something bigger, make a massive impact. You could even argue his big charity projects like Team Trees and Team Seas show that desire to use influence for good. It's certainly not a static or predictable career path.
No kidding. And that ability to capture such a massive audience, build that reputation, does that connect?
It could definitely align with what the reading described as the tiger's natural presence and that high value they place on reputation and authority.
Yeah, being named Forbes' highest earning YouTuber, getting Guinness World Records. That speaks to drive and success.
Yeah.
And Time's 100 most influential people, that hits the reputation and influence point again.
Absolutely. Now, obviously, we can't say his success is just because he's a tiger. That would be simplistic.
Of course not.
But it is quite compelling to see how some of those described tiger characteristics seem to echo in his, well, undeniably dynamic and hugely influential career.
It really does give you food for thought. Well, this has been a truly fascinating deep dive into the best jobs and astrological insights for the Chinese zodiac tiger. Really illuminating.
Yeah, we hope this exploration has given you, the listener, some valuable insights, maybe some new ways to think about your own career path, especially if you happen to be a tiger.
And remember, these professional astrological tips are offered as guidance, things to consider to potentially enhance your good fortune.
Exactly. A perspective, not a prediction.
And if you are interested in getting a more personalized astrological reading, one that looks at your unique chart and circumstances, you can find a link for that down in the description below.
Check it out if you're curious.
Thank you so much for watching The Stargazers. We look forward to exploring more zodiac signs with you next time.
See you then.